Alright guys, so this will need a little bit of context before we begin. So basically, me and my friend had a match on Smash Bros. Ultimate. We decided to put a wager down. First of 5 wins. If I lost, I would review Sonic the Hedgehog for episode 1 and 2 in their own separate videos respectively. And have a guess who lost? Yeah, it was me. And quite frankly, I'm not very happy about it because if you know me, I really do not like these games. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 was a disaster when it came out, in my opinion. It's a game I've played when it came out and haven't touched since because I just don't like it, and this person is very aware of that. And surprisingly, they like this game, and that's probably the only reason they want me to review it, because I don't like it and they do, and they just want to try and either prove me wrong or put me through some sort of purgatory. So here we are today reviewing Sonic 4 Episode 1, and maybe next week or sometime soon Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2. So that's the quick disclaimer out of the way. But in terms of regular content, that'll return to normal after this review. But who knows, maybe there'll be some special announcements being made after this series before the next one begins, because I have a few things planned that I might want to put into play, but we'll see how that turns out and how I can get my schedule sorted. But anyways, thank you all for your patience, Happy New Year, and I hope you enjoy this mini-series. The main selling point of the episode Metal DLC was simply that it told Metal Sonic's side of the story from Sonic 4. It was his perspective, and it also gave us insight onto how he survived the fall of Little Planet from Sonic CD, which I guess this game confirms as canon. So basically how this happens is, well, it's simple really. He comes crashing down into the zone that we see at the end of the first game of Sonic 4. And Eggman essentially just revives him using machinery. It's honestly as simple as that. It's literally nothing more to it, and if I'm being honest, I kind of like the simplicity of it, because knowing the character of Metal Sonic, you know, they do a lot of questionable shit with him. You know, whether that be his transformations in Sonic Heroes, his numerous different appearances in the Archie comics, or just reusing him for the sake of reusing him, you know, like in Sonic Forces. But I don't know, I can kind of get behind the idea of it here. It doesn't bother me too much that they want to incorporate Metal Sonic into the story in a more, well, justified way, rather than just having him there, because it actually gives him a reason to be there, unlike in the more recent games where he's, like I said, he's just there for the sake of being there. Not an Easter egg. They try to make him a part of the plot, but it just doesn't work. So I can actually respect them trying to bring some plot to the Metal Sonic side of the story here. So, you know what, I'll give you a small round of applause for that one, Sonic team, but I do have gripes with this thing. Now then, the biggest offence Episode Metal gives, in my opinion, is its gameplay, because all it is Metal Sonic, or should I say a reskin of Sonic, because it doesn't feel that much different to Sonic, apart from he feels a tiny little bit faster when he's going at full speed, but that might just be because of how his animation is. He just looks a little nicer than Sonic's animations. But essentially, the gameplay is exactly the same as Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, because not only does it recycle its zones, but it just doesn't change them. Apart from it, I think it just makes them a tiny little bit more difficult than what they were in Episode 1. That's literally it. Think Sonic Heroes Super Hard Mode. It's the same in game, just with more enemies. That's it. As far as I can remember anyway, because I don't remember the zones being this difficult in Sonic 4 Episode 1. And even though it's, you know, you think, oh right, here we go, we're starting from the last zone, we're going to finish on Splash Hill Zone, you are correct. There aren't 3 zones per, there aren't 3 acts per zone. There's 1 act per zone, and I kind of like this. Even though I would have liked 2 zones, or should say 2 acts per zone, and have the second act be a little bit different from the first one, or just completely have it, if you're going to do 4 levels entirely rather than 8, or 12, you could have at least made 1 unique level that would have actually been a lot nicer, and it would have warranted this DLC being played. I mean, yes, it's a free DLC if you own both titles, but if you ask me, the only one worth owning is Episode 2. So if you completely skipped Episode 1 because of how bad it was and you just went straight to Episode 2, I can't blame you, but in all honesty, you weren't missing too much with this DLC, but again, like I said, you don't exactly have to pay for it. So I guess they just wanted to, you know, shoehorn something in to try and make Episode 2, or should I try to make you buy Episode 1 or 2, depending if you have one or the other. So it's marketing at the end of the day, I can understand that, it's Sega. But at the same time, you know, you could have done a little bit something special, because it's Metal Sonic. A lot of people love this character, and I think and considering you're telling the side of the story from his perspective, and you're continuing his origin story from Sonic CD, you know, I'd imagine a few more people would have wanted something a bit more justified than, well, this. Now, it doesn't mean because you're using the same zones from episode 1 that you're entitled to use its awful graphical style. Well, that's what the DLC did. It used the graphical style from episode 1 to make it look a little bit more in line with it, I suppose, and oh my goodness gravy, I do not like it. I did not like episode 1's graphical style when I played that game, and I do not like it here either. The only place it doesn't look that bad, surprisingly, is on Metal Sonic, because it actually makes him look a bit shiny. And I quite like that, to be honest with you. I don't mind that, that's not much of an offence compared to the rest of it. But the rest of it, yeah, it's got all the same problems I had with episode 1's visuals, and I just really, really wish they stuck with what episode 2 did, because it was just a million times better than this. Just like most things in this game, the music is also a recycled asset, and from, of course, the Sonic 4 Episode 1 soundtrack, and this, of course, if you've seen the previous 2 episodes, or just the first episode, I'm not a massive fan of the soundtrack to Sonic 4 Episode 1. I think the Episode 2 soundtrack is a lot better, but it's still nothing great. But the Episode 1 soundtrack I really do not like. I mean, the only exception is probably the Labyrinth ripoff, because I kind of like that one, but only Act 2. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the Sonic 4 Episode 1 soundtrack. And like I said, this is just another recycling of the assets from that game. It would have been nice if we had some remixes of the songs in more like that sound a bit more metallic. So, you know, give it like a Stardust Speedway kind of vibe or something like that. That would have been pretty cool. But instead, we just got the same old, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're making a free DLC and it's Sega, the whole thing's just going to be a recycled mess. So I don't know what more you should expect. Now, since there are no bosses or special stages in Episode Metal, it is literally just like recycled zones, but made harder from the first episode of the Sonic 4 series. It's only natural to skip straight to the verdict, but also in this verdict I'm also going to give a few thoughts about the series as a whole, as well as what I would have expected it to look like if it wasn't discontinued past Episode 2. So anyways, Episode Metal for me is just a straight up 2 out of 10. It's extremely lazy. The only thing I do like about it is the effort in presentation when it comes to presenting Metal Sonic in this episode, and also trying to give him some sort of backstory that seems reasonable. So I kind of can respect that, and it's not just a basic reskin, even though it kind of is in some aspects. So yeah, Episode Metal is just an extremely lazy tacked on DLC that I'm glad you didn't have to pay a penny for, because if you did, I would have been extremely disappointed. It lasted no more than 40 minutes, or not even that. It probably took about 30-20 minutes to complete this DLC. It was disgustingly short. But yeah, Episode Metal was pretty trash, in all honesty. So, what do I think of the Sonic 4, I guess you could say, trilogy, if you want to count Metal Sonic as the third entry, considering we didn't have the third entry? It's just an unforgettable mess of an attempt to bring back the classic formula. The classic formula worked because of the reasons I stated in the first episode of this review series. It's because it's fast, it's rewarding, and the level design is crafted with care around the character's moveset. In this game, the only thing that exists there is the moveset, and it's because the game encourages you to use the homing attack. And that is not what I want from a classic Sonic title. I don't think classic Sonic should be built around the homing attack. It never has, and it never should be. Classic Sonic should instead be built around gaining momentum through the use of Sonic's toolkit to make your gameplay feel fast-paced, frantic, and rewarding, not gimmicky. And that's exactly where Sonic 4 failed, mainly. Aside from other aspects such as its very, very pitiful presentation, its pretty mediocre soundtrack, or anything else like that I've mentioned in the previous reviews that I've said I don't like about this game actively, that is exactly where the game falls short, and I really do not want to revisit this series anytime soon, or any time, if I'm being honest with you. The only one I consider revisiting is Episode 2, because that at least had some moments of being fun, but the rest of it, not so much. So where do I think that the series would have gone if it wasn't stopped after episode 2? Well, I personally think with episode 3 they would have introduced Knuckles, because of course Sonic 1 was just Sonic, 2 was Tails, and 3 it had Knuckles. So that would have just made sense, and I would have been interested to see how they crafted levels around Knuckles, because he kind of felt slow in the original games anyway, so he probably would have matched this game's playstyle really well. Granted, they constructed the levels really nicely and they weren't just rehashed or whatever, which would have been nice. I would have expected to see new levels instead of just recycled ones, but knowing what happened with this game, it would just be a complete recycle of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which it would be a shame, of course. So yeah, I really don't think it would have improved going forward. It probably would have remained at a 5 or a 6 out of 10. So yeah, I'm glad it wasn't continued. But anyways, this has been it for the Sonic the Hedgehog 4 review series. I am never touching these games ever again. If you want to know if you should touch these games or not, I only play them if you're extremely curious to see what they're like for yourself. If not, I could not recommend these games to anyone at all. So anyways, I hope you've all enjoyed the Sonic 4 retrospective. When I return, it's at some point next week or whenever, I'm going to be starting up a new series, which is going to be a TV review series like I did previously. I go game TV/movie, game TV/movie, you get what I mean. So I hope to see you all next time when you will join me in my next review series, which will be of the very controversial but now kind of universally loved Dragon Ball GT, which will be the first time of me rewatching it in many, many years. So thank you all for watching the series. It's been really well received, surprisingly. So yeah, thank you all so much for that. I did not expect it to do this well. And I hope I will see you all again when I review Dragon Ball GT in the coming weeks.